wave your flag, wave your rag, wave your hand from left to right. Raise your cup, raise your cup. Everybody know just how to jump up. PPP, take it back. PPP, take it back. PPP, take it back. PPP, take it back.
PPPC is the party for we. Watch how they call it with old PNC. What they don't know is a bigger victory. They say they will never call it, they will stay as KFC. Now they're gonna marry old PNC.
I want you to give a Bobby some welcome to the man who will lead us once again after May 11th. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to welcome President Donald Rabindranath
in the service of this blessed country. Not once did we flinch or abandon our duty, no, our duty. We prefer British and even our own. Guyana never stopped me in a place to follow. To be that way, but we will stay because in your
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Master of Ceremonies. Comrades of the leadership of the party and government here today, comrades and friends of Bordeaux, before I begin my address to you, I just want to correct Comrade Zulfikar and Mustafa. Yesterday, in Essequibo, we didn't have 12,000 persons. We had nothing less than 15,000 persons there. And today, your numbers here today, it's so numerous that it's almost impossible to give an estimate of this crowd here today. I believe that this is probably one of the largest gatherings ever in Bordeaux. And I'm absolutely sure that Comrade Chedi Jagan would have been well pleased with this crowd. Comrades, today we are on the eve of making history. On May 11th of this year, our country will go to the polls. And on these elections, we want to record the biggest victory ever for the PPP Civic. And we have every reason to expect, that we will have a massive victory. Because we stand on a proud record of struggles on behalf of you, the Guyanese people. Our party fought from the very beginning for the welfare of the people of this country. We fought for independence, and we also led the struggle against the dictatorship of the PNC. And now, in government, We have a proud record of achievements on behalf of the people, you, the people of this country. You have achieved the most under the PPP civic government.
Since 1950, we in the service.
Your achievements, based on the tremendous work and sacrifices that you have done to provide for your families and to help our country to grow, is evident all over Guyana. We have now the top students in the Caribbean. We have one of the best health services now in the region. And we have the best housing policy in the whole of the Caribbean. Comrades, it has not always been so. When we came into office, Guyana was described as an abyss. An abyss meaning a deep hole, a bottomless pit. That is where the IMF and the World Bank said that our country had descended into. And no one believed that we could have emerged from this. In fact, Carl Greenwich, the last finance minister of the PNC government, he said that the country was bankrupt. In a written affidavit that we have from him, he mentioned that the debt of our country was 925% of our GDP, meaning that it was 9.25 times bigger than our whole economy. And to repay that debt, we were paying 153% of our revenues. What does that mean? That we had reached a stage where we had to borrow to pay debts. We have changed that. The PPP civic government has changed that. Today, the debt has declined from 925% of our GDP to only 60% now of our GDP. And the repayment of the debt has been reduced from 153% of our revenue to today only 4% of our revenue. That is good economic and financial management of our economy, and that is what the PPP Civic has given you. Comrades, the last 3 years were not easy years. They were very difficult years and frustrating years. The opposition tried in every way to block every developmental project in our country. They want to stop the development of Guyana from continuing. They want to destroy the economy, and that is why they have, you heard just now, that they cut $8 to $9 billion from the budget over the last 3 years. Indeed, I would like to point out to you that never one day did the opposition use their one-seat majority to tell the government to do more for the Guyanese people. Never did they say we must build more schools, more roads, more bridges, put more money in agriculture. No, they only sought to cut and to destroy the foundations that we have laid over the years. Comrades, they cut the programs that were designed to benefit the people of Guyana. For instance, they cut the money. You remember last year, we gave you, the parents, $10,000 for every child you had in school, from kindergarten to secondary school. That was one of the projects that they cut. They talk about young people, but they also tried to cut from the budget the revolving fund that we have to lend students money to attend the University of Guyana, where they would not have to pay back until they finish their studies and starting to work. They tried to cut that from the budget. And when we put it back in, it was precisely the time they went with a no confidence motion to the Parliament. Comrades, they have deliberately set out to harm their country. But this election is very important because it's about the future of our country. And will determine if we continue to grow or if we will go backward as the PNC had dragged us down in the past. As we have said before, we want to build a modern, progressive and prosperous country so that we can give all our people a higher quality of life right here in Guyana. To do so, we have to modernize and restructure our traditional industries, and we have also to work towards a new sector to build a new modern economy that we need to take our country forward. In this regard, comrades, sugar is extremely important for us and for the development of this country. It is not only an emotional subject, because it is emotional in one way, because sugar has been responsible for all of us being here in this country. Our foreparents came here as slaves and indentured workers to work on the sugar estate. Sugar is the grandfather of all the industries in Guyana. Every other industry benefited from this sugar industry, directly and sometimes indirectly, from skills, from other kinds of contribution, managerial skills, engineers, technical skills, all had their origin here in the sugar industry. But sugar is going through some difficult times. It is going through some difficult times, not because of anything internally that has happened. It is going through some difficult times because the European Union ended the sugar protocol, where they were supposed to buy sugar from us, African, Caribbean and Pacific countries, at preferential prices. And in 2010, they reneged on that, and the price of sugar was cut by 36%. In the past, people did not have any other job, and all the jobs were in the sugar industry. And therefore, the industry for a long time was a labor-intensive industry. But since our economy has been growing, and the construction sector, the mining sector, and several other sectors have grown, sugar now has to compete for labor, and it is getting, labor sometimes is short in the industry. And therefore, to compensate for that, we have to do more mechanization in the industry, in the fields. We have to make the fields ready to be more friendly to our machinery, to machine use. We have to retrain our workers so that they can continue to have a good living from the industry itself. And we have to plant new varieties of cane to make them more productive to do more research in that regard. Comrades, we also have to do more investments in our factories to make them more efficient, and so that we can have greater recovery of the sugar from the fields itself. As was mentioned just now, in January of this year, I was in India, and there I had meetings with Prime Minister Modi. And the sugar industry, your welfare, was high on my agenda, because sugar has always been close to the heart of the PPP. Sugar workers have always been close to the hearts of the PPP. And when I was speaking to Prime Minister Modi, it was your faces that came in front of me to think about the welfare and to ensure that you continue to have a good life from this industry. Comrades, we are already sure that we can secure financial and technical cooperation from India to raise the efficiency of this industry for it to continue to grow. And we also will work to have more and new revenue streams for the industry. We want to make the industry more flexible like the industry in Brazil, so that already you know, right here at Albion, we started to look at the production of ethanol. Ethanol is very important, and right in Guyana, we have a big market for this, because by mixing fuel with ethanol, with 10% ethanol, you have no changes to make on your vehicle. And you therefore have a huge market right here. But we want to even increase the production of ethanol, so that when the price of sugar is low, as it is now on the world market, because we are price takers, so when the price is low, we can produce more ethanol for sale. And when the price of sugar is high, we can switch back to producing more sugar. But our aim is to produce a minimum of 400,000 tons of sugar by 2020, right from the industry here.
Since 1950, we on the service.
We are also, for years, for centuries, we have been producer of raw sugar. I know, I sat at hundreds of meetings, public meetings like these, and private meetings with Comrade Chedi Jagan. And he always had a dream that the industry must not only be a producer of sugar, but the industry must be a complex. And that is what this PPP civic government has been working towards. Now we are beginning to have co-generation of electricity from bagasse. We just formed a new company by Gaisuko and GPL to generate electricity from bagasse. Moreover, comrades, we want to expand that. Albion, for instance, has the capacity to add co-generation and another revenue stream to the industry. So has and more, and we can have more revenue streams going up in that direction. Moreover, we have to do refining. Eventually our goal is not only to produce the raw sugar, but to do refined industrial sugar, where the money really is. In fact, the colonialists never wanted us to produce refined sugar. That is why, for more than 300 years, we have remained a producer of raw sugar. And it is only because of the characteristic of the sugarcane that they built a factory here to make sugar. If they could have cut the cane and take it to England, they would never have built a factory here. But because of the nature of the cane, they had to build factories here, but we remain as a producer of raw sugar. We have to change that. This generation of PPP leaders will change that, and we will work towards building a refinery right in this industry. And in the meantime, we were doing more packaging to compensate for the low prices on the world market. We will do more packaging of sugar to export and to earn more money in that regard. But comrades, the industry needs help. And I have committed already, and I'm committing now in front of you, that when we win the elections on May 11th, when we win those elections on May 11th, we will invest a minimum of $20 billion over the next 5 years to ensure that the industry survives and also prosper in the future. Comrades, I have every reason to believe that the best days of sugar is still ahead of it, that it has tremendous contribution to make to our welfare. The rice industry too has been doing very well as far as production and productivity is concerned. We will continue to invest in D&I and in the other infrastructure that is needed to ensure that production continues to grow. And the government will continue to work to help to find new markets. Only last year, when I was in Colombia, I met the President of Panama at the inauguration of President Santos. And there we had a talk about buying rice from Guyana. And now Panama is almost the second most important market for our rice industry. Comrades, but we have also to look towards adding value right here to the industry. In Essequibo, we are now establishing a factory there to produce rice cereal. In Essequibo, that is only the beginning. As we develop the market, we will expand that to other areas in Region 5 and Region 6 to ensure that we make maximum use of our rice production. Comrades, and what been said just now, we are working to ensure that we get involved in the new technology. That is why our former president started, because of the whole vision that we have, the one laptop per family program, to ensure that no family, regardless of their economic circumstances, will be denied the opportunity of having access to one of the most modern form of infrastructure. The ICT already, there's a company in Georgetown called Qualfan. It's a Mexican Guyanese company, and they have already employing now more than 3,000 persons, and they're building building a new campus, they call it, on the East Bank, where they will employ 6,000 persons. Only a few weeks ago, I went to the opening of that building, the first building, where right now they are recruiting people for another 900 jobs. And we are going to build here in Region 6 and in Essequibo And Region 5, we are going to build more centers like that so that we can create jobs for our people in every area. Comrades, of course, we are also developing our country rapidly. And in this regard, Berbice will have a central role to play. One of the most important infrastructure that we need in modernizing our country and to take it forward, we need a new deep water harbor. And as I speak, we have now people studying to put the deep water harbor right in the Berbice River here, which will be one of the most modern harbors, and Guyana can become not only an aerial hub, but we can become a maritime hub for South America and the Caribbean. Comrades, we are also looking at tourism. That is why we are building the new Cherry Jagan Airport. We will have the most modern airport in the Caribbean when that project is finished. And to build a hospitality center, we are building an institute, so that we can train our people to have more jobs. And we are also just commissioned the first world-class hotel in Guyana, in the Marriott Hotel. The opposition continue to try to slander that project. But believe me, I hope all of you will take an opportunity to go and see it, so that you can be proud of the achievement of this country in having such a facility here. That facility will allow us to hold more mega conferences in Guyana, to develop tourism, to develop sports tourism, because we have now the stadium, we have the aquatic center, all world-class centers, and we just opened at the West Demerara the track and field center, another world-class center. And when we win these elections, we will be building in Berbice other facilities, indoor facilities, to ensure our young people here will be able to compete with any in the whole world. Comrades, but what is the obstacle? These are the dreams and the plans that we have. But the biggest obstacle is the opposition. Over the last 3 years, they have shown their cloven hoof. They have shown themselves for what they are, people who are totally anti-developmental. And let me give you some quick examples to show you how they are trying their best deliberately to stop the development of Guyana, and how dishonest they are now that elections are here and they're changing their tune. You heard about the anti-money laundering bill. That bill came out of the United Nations Security Council because it is felt that a lot of the money from drug smuggling, from trafficking in persons, from international crime, a lot of the money go to finance terrorism. And therefore, we suggested it in the UN that all the countries in the world must have similar legislation of their financial sector, so that no countries would be a haven for international criminals. And if you do not pass the bill, pass the law, then the international community can blacklist you. And if your financial sector is blacklisted, it will have an impact on your whole economy. The opposition, not one time, but 2 times, voted against this bill in the National Assembly. Comrades, when they vote against this bill, they reveal who they are. They reveal who they are. They voted against the welfare of the Guyanese people and voted siding with the criminal elements in our society. That vote on 2 occasions put them squarely on the side of defending international criminals, and they want to turn Guyana into a haven for international criminals. That is what they have done. But are we surprised at that? Are we surprised at that? We know that the PNC always has links with the criminal elements in the society. We can go back as far as the 1960s to the Rex 13 plan, but we need not go so far back. When the criminals unleashed terror and went into Buxton and held Buxton hostage, where they committed a lot of atrocities on the people of Buxton, I am saying here today that they could not have lasted 1 day in Buxton because the Buxtonians did not support them. They had the backing and the protection of the PNC. That is why they were able to stay in that area for such a while. And we know also the man they want to make Minister of Home Affairs, Winston Felix, was caught on tape speaking to Basil Williams, protecting that he was then the chairman of the PNC and protecting the criminal elements in our society. Comrades, that is the people that we're dealing with. And you know now that they're running to elections, Granger said, and I see Harman said, that they want to pass the anti-money laundering bill. So why did they not do that when they had the opportunity to do that 2 times before? It shows you the nature of the beast that we are dealing with. Comrades, they also in 2013 voted for the new Chedijagan airport, and because they did that, we went into contractual arrangements with a company to build a new airport. In 2014, they cut the budget to the airport. Why did they do that? They were exposing us to litigation so that these people can carry us to court, and we would have to pay them millions of dollars, and we will have nothing to show for it. That is why we had to put back the money in the budget, and that is when they went back with a no confidence motion to the parliament. Comrades, this is the nature of the people that we are dealing with. But it's the same old PNC. And I also say that we have to look at character when we have to look at our leaders in government level. We know Elizabeth Harper has character. We cannot say the same thing about Nagamutu. We know that the meaning of Naga means snake. But I will not attempt to to insult that reptile by calling Nagamutu a snake. Nagamutu is a bloody worm. He's a bloody worm. That is what he is. They want to oppose everything we're having. For instance, we want to have special developmental fund. We want to create a special developmental fund for Region 2 and Region 6 to ensure that we provide employment for the very brilliant students that are leaving schools now. We will also, you know the Bible said that man shall not live by bread alone. But once our economy continues to grow and we are consuming enough food, we want other kinds of food. We have to develop ourselves culturally. And that is why we are going to build in this region a cultural center so that you can be able to express yourself in full. Comrades, they're trying to fool us. They're trying to fool us. You know what you have. You know where we came from. You know what we have achieved in difficult circumstances. The biggest impediment to development in this country has always been the PNC in opposition. They burned down the Georgetown in 1992. They burned it again in 1997. They burned part of it in 2001. The only time they didn't risk anything was 2006. But their record has been wreckers. The PPP Civic. We have a proud record as builders of our country. Now they're coming with another three-card trick. They're coming with another three-card trick to us. I just heard Cathy Hughes saying that if they don't deliver within 5 years, we can throw them out. But we remember what it was in 1964. They didn't deliver a damn thing in 1964, but you couldn't throw them out because they started to rig the elections. And that is precisely what they want to continue to do. Granger is now saying, when the whole world has accepted that we had rigged elections in Guyana, Granger is saying that that never happened. And he also says, and he has nothing to apologize for. Well, comrades, when they shot Jagan Ramotar and Bolanad Parminan at number 64 village in 1973, what were these comrades fighting for? All they were asking for was to count the votes at the place of poll. They were fighting for democracy. They were fighting for you and my freedom. That is what they were fighting for. But worst of all, particularly in the case of Jagan Ramotar, he was 17 years old when he was shot, and they did not take him to the doctor. They threw him in a truck and had him there for 4 hours. 4 hours before they took him to the hospital. The poor young man, 17 years old, never had an opportunity to really live his life, bled to death in that truck. Granger was the commander in the army at that time, and still this man is saying he has nothing to apologize for. Can you trust him with your future? But more than that, Nagamutu used to write about these things. He wrote about these things. He wrote about what happened to Jagat Ramotar and Bolanath Paminan. He wrote about what happened to Arnold Rampersad. 3 trials of Arnold Rampersad. He wrote about what happened to Walter Rodney. He reported those things. And now he's saying that those things never happened. Now he's saying that these things never happened. What kind of man is this? Is he a man or a worm? Let me hear you. He's a worm. That is what he is. Comrades and friends, this is the character of the people who want government. They don't want government to try to build our country. They don't want government to build more schools, more hospitals, to create employment. They're lying about all these things. Granger now, when we went to help to give money to the sugar industry, in 2013, we gave the money through the Ministry of Housing, and they attacked Irfan Ali, called him all kinds of horrible names, and even threatened to take him to the Privilege Committee. Last year, when we brought to the Parliament to give the industry $6 billion to support the industry restructuring, Granger voted against it. He personally cast his vote in Parliament against giving the industry the $6 billion. Later on, he had a press conference, and his main man on sugar said that we must shut the industry down and mine tilapia in the field. And then, Nagamutu agreed with him. The AFC agreed with him. The same people who promised you 20% increase in 2011 agreed with APMU not that the industry should be closed down. And recently, Stanley Ming, who is one of their main economic advisors, Stanley Ming said that we must come out of sugar. No! Granger did not say anything. He voted against it. Now he's saying that elections are here. And when he thinks that he won't catch you, he's saying sugar is too big to fail. Can we trust such a man to be president of our country? And Nagamutu tried to cut the $6 billion in the Parliament. Comrades and friends, we have to really know. We have to not judge people by what they say, but by what they do. That is how we have to judge people in this country. Comrades and friends, they talk about unity. But we see that they have no intention of building unity. We see the composition of their list. We see that they're talking about women. They tried to hold a live women's conference yesterday. And when they had their first presentation of their list to the Elections Commission, it was deficient in the amount of women that they have. 20 women short that they had. They ain't got woman. And they talk about security for the people, but if you look at their list, you will see, if you examine their list properly, you will see on their list there are people who have been accused and charged with murder. 3 persons, and these are the people who are now telling us about security. Comrades and friends, a lot is at stake. A lot is at stake on May 11th. We cannot afford to be undone by a coalition. You must remember, in 1964, there was another coalition. The coalition that they used to try to get rid of Chedi Jagan. It's the same tactics they used. They said they will never get together with each other. The same thing AFC was saying. When we were telling you that they were together, when we were making that point to you that they were together, right in Barbies, they came on the television and said that we were slandering them, that they will never come together with the APNU. Comrades, before the cock crowed twice, the man turned the world around. This is what they've done. This is what they did. Comrades and friends, a lot is at stake. If you look at when they were talking about their coalition, you will see that they were not debating. They were not debating about programs and policies. They were arguing about who will get what, who will be president, who will be prime minister, who will be minister of finance, who will be minister of home affairs. And they said they want four vice presidents. Now Guyana must have barely got 1 million people. The United States, with about 300 million people and a huge economy, they got 1 vice president. Now Ramotar want 4 vice presidents. And he's the man who would talk about cutting fat. He should begin by cutting fat in other places. Comrades and friends, a lot is at stake. But don't worry with Ramaya. Ramaya is a quack. A big quack. And you know the other word that rhymes with quack? He is that too. Comrades and friends, a lot is at stake. You have it in your hands. You have it in your hands to protect this country from such unscrupulous persons. The PPP always stood by you through thick and thin, through good times and bad times. The PPP has always been close to you. Today, I ask you on May 11th to stand by the PPP Civic. To stand with me and let us have the biggest victory and the biggest victory in the history of this country. Thank you very much for your attention.
Not once did we flinch or abandon our duty, no, our duty. We bring from the British and even now. Not once did we flinch or abandon our duty, no, our duty. We bring from the British and even our own.
Yes, Congress, let me hear you for President!